photographs of Meghan Markle in Paris at Fashion Week with her feet up in a limo, but it's been revealed that Meghan Markle actually invited herself to this Paris Fashion Week.
Picture this: London, grey skies. Inside the legendary Alexander McQueen headquarters in Clerkenwell, not just an office, but almost a cathedral built of fabric and silence. Mannequins stand like marble statues, half-finished gowns draped in whispers of genius and grief. And into that temple of couture walks Meghan Markle. Yes, that Meghan Markle. It's around 10 a.m., and according to stunned staff, she sweeps through the glass doors wearing a perfectly tailored ivory coat, a vintage McQueen piece from her royal wedding archives. Talk about an entrance. Her assistant follows close behind, holding an iPad, showing what looked like an appointment confirmation, a private couture consultation, supposedly approved by McQueen's creative director himself. Except, there was just one tiny problem. McQueen hadn't scheduled anything. The receptionist freezes. Confused glances fly across the front desk. Someone checks the system. No record, no entry, no meeting. But Meghan insists, calm, confident, every word dipped in authority. Her assistant explains that this was a follow-up for a gown concept the creative director had already approved. Except, he wasn't even in London. He was in Milan. So, what on earth was going on? Within minutes, the studio coordinator is already on the phone with legal. Yep, that fast. But Meghan, totally unfazed. She just glides past the reception barrier, all poise and purpose, saying, "We'll just check the fabrics."
This month. Now, the Balenciaga designer has claimed that she reached out and she said she would love to come to the show. I mean, Andrew, reading this, it does not surprise me.
Now, to anyone else, this might have looked harmless, just a celebrity popping into a designer house. But inside McQueen, oh no, there's hierarchy, there's protocol. And breaking that is like stepping into the Queen's private chambers uninvited. Even A-list clients need weeks of vetting before they can breathe near the couture floor. So when Meghan acted like she owned the place, people were shook. She wasn't asking, said one pattern cutter later. She was expecting. Security moved in, subtle, polite, but firm. She was guided into a waiting area that smelled like leather, silk, and tension. For the next 15 minutes, messages were flying through internal group chats. Is this real? Who approved this? Finally, a communications director arrives, calm, professional, and delivers the blow. There was no fitting, no gown in development, no meeting. Witnesses say Meghan's perfect smile faltered. She looked stunned, even offended. "That can't be right," she allegedly said. "Alexander McQueen and I go way back. I wore you on the most important day of the decade." Oh, but it was about to get even more awkward. The director, bless her, stayed composed. "Yes, ma'am," she replied gently, "but the wedding commission came from our archival collection, not a current contract." That's when everything changed. Meghan straightened her back, her expression turning icy. She looked around the atelier, this cathedral of couture, and said, "Then perhaps it's time you remember who put your name back in headlines." Ouch! A line equal parts pride and threat. And that was the final straw. By noon, her access card was deactivated, her PR contact removed from the system, and a quiet internal memo circulated. Effective immediately. No. Unscheduled consultations with the Duchess of Sussex. But behind that calm memo lay something deeper, because McQueen had been watching this unfold for months. And deep within their confidential archives were emails, lots of them, showing just how far Meghan had gone to make the House of McQueen hers again. Here's the tea. Insiders say Meghan had been chasing McQueen for months. Emails, later leaked to the Evening Standard, painted the picture. A quiet campaign that began half a year earlier. First came messages from her stylist, then follow-ups, then direct outreach from Meghan's own assistant.
It's always a delight, isn't it? Paolo Piccioli is his name, the wonderful, amazing, alliterative designer. And basically he revealed, well, she wasn't really invited. He sort of...
The mission? To secure a one-of-a-kind gown for a New York charity gala. One of the earliest emails was almost worshipful. The Duchess would be honored to wear Alexander McQueen again. Her wedding look remains a timeless moment in modern history. She hopes to collaborate on something symbolic. Of rebirth and resilience, beautiful words. But the response? Silence. McQueen's comms team replied politely, acknowledged receipt, but made no commitments. As the follow-ups grew more insistent, their tone cooled. According to one insider, the house wanted to keep its distance from royal drama. As one executive said bluntly, McQueen dresses legends, not headlines. Oof. But Meghan didn't take silence for an answer. At public events, she began hinting that she and McQueen were in creative talks. Journalists started asking if McQueen was preparing a new couture comeback moment for her, a rebirth. And where did those rumors come from? Reportedly, from Meghan's own circle. That's when McQueen started documenting everything. Internal memos began flagging her as a narrative risk. One line, later leaked, read, "She is positioning herself as an active McQueen muse without confirmation. Contain narrative immediately." Things were heating up, and Meghan was about to make her boldest move yet. Behind the scenes, McQueen's new creative director, cautious, newly installed after Sarah Burton's departure, was adamant, no royal-adjacent press. McQueen's next era was about independence, not nostalgia. And Meghan, for all her glamour, represented the very thing they wanted to move away from, a reminder of monarchy and controversy, not artistry. But Meghan wasn't backing down.
She could come, and come she did. You might remember last week we were talking about that Zoolander moment where she's sort of trying to upstage everybody, that glorious Benz.
2 months before that awkward London incident, her assistant emailed again. Subject line, "Final gown approval." Attached was a sketch, a pearl white dress with McQueen's iconic corseted waist, and wait for it, a crest resembling the Sussex emblem. That's when the penny dropped. She wasn't just asking, said one former PR coordinator. She was trying to author the narrative herself and make it look official. So when Meghan showed up that morning in London, they weren't caught off guard. They were ready. A quiet directive had gone out the night before. If approached by the Duchess, confirm no active commission. Record interaction. Report to legal. And that's exactly what they did, because what happened next would set the entire fashion world on fire. The footage, captured discreetly by McQueen's security cameras, spread through London's fashion circles within days. It showed Meghan gliding through the atelier corridor. Head high, chin sharp, every step camera ready. One insider said it was a masterclass in misplaced confidence. She even paused in front of McQueen's historic sketches, lightly touching the glass as if claiming them. Behind her, her assistant held an iPad and a garment bag like they were about to start a fitting that didn't exist. When a staffer gently reminded her that the couture floor was off limits, Meghan smiled sweetly and said, "I'm just here for a moment." Lee would have loved the idea of reinvention. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. McQueen was rebellion through art, said one longtime employee, not through press releases. And that's when things truly spiraled. The communications director, the same woman who'd been fielding Meghan's emails for months, arrived, polite but cold. When told again there was no fitting, Meghan reportedly produced a printed confirmation with McQueen's logo. But the problem? The logo was from 2014, outdated, no longer in use. Either someone had slipped her an old pass, or she'd printed it herself. Either way, it was fake. Tension filled the air. Meghan's calm tone turned sharp. She insisted she'd been personally invited, that any confusion would vanish once she spoke directly with the creative director. Except he was overseas, and his phone was blowing up with frantic texts from London. "She's here," says she's filming content. Verify that last word. Filming sent shockwaves, because right behind Meghan stood a man holding a mirrorless camera. He told security it was for personal documentation. And that's when the mood flipped from awkward to alarmed. McQueen doesn't allow any filming on couture grounds.
Still a rather sort of throwback still see what we did there. But there was also this outrage, if you like, where she's driving around Paris with her feet up and eating her French fries and so on.
Ever. Within minutes, security escorted the cameraman out. Meghan protested, saying, "This is my own story. I'm not giving anyone the power to twist it again." The director stayed calm but firm. Recording was strictly forbidden. Still, Meghan refused to leave, insisting she needed to speak to someone who understands creative vision. And then, the final nail. A senior member of McQueen's legal team appeared, holding a folder labeled Archive Markle Correspondence. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "Ma'am, we appreciate your admiration for the brand, but as of this morning, your requests have been declined indefinitely." Silence. Then Meghan's reply, quiet, cutting. "Decline now, but not forgotten later." And with that, she turned, her coat swirling behind her like a curtain drop, and walked out, unaware that the footage she left behind was about to explode. The footage Meghan left behind? Oh, it didn't just stay internal. By that night, it was everywhere. Whispered about at Claridge's breakfasts, murmured over champagne in Mayfair, dissected in every PR office from London to Paris. People were saying, did Meghan really try to stage her own McQueen comeback? The clip, grainy, black and white, just 90 seconds long, became legend. Those who'd seen it described her entrance as pure theater. The coat, the chin tilt, the soft smile. But the scandal wasn't about fashion anymore. It was about power. McQueen's PR team was in emergency mode. According to leaked transcripts, their meeting that afternoon was surgical. "We do not engage in narratives," one exec said. "We maintain silence, heritage, integrity. But silence cannot allow fabrication to stand. So they moved like chess masters. No press release, no angry statement. Just one quiet sentence fed discreetly to trusted journalists. No collaboration or consultation with the Duchess of Sussex is currently underway." Elegant, chilling, final, and in the fashion world, that's the death blow. Because McQueen doesn't deny people unless they've already become a liability. And then, another leak. Slack messages from her own startup team surfaced. Her consultant warned that Reign Atelier's designs look too much like McQueen's. Meghan's response? It's not derivative. It's redemption. That line hit headlines everywhere. Some called it brave, most called it delusional. Hollywood stylists started backing away. One told Page 6 she's trying to build a kingdom out of ashes, and everyone can smell the smoke. In the end, her investors pulled out. Funding dried up. Reign Atelier was dead before a single stitch was sewn. But Meghan wasn't done. She pivoted from couture to revenge. Enter her new project, Unstitched, a documentary, a confession, a reckoning. It would tell the story of betrayal, power, and reinvention through the eyes of the woman fashion tried to silence. Filming began in secret under the codename Project Liberty, but soon a mysterious package arrived at her doorstep. Inside, a USB drive, a single note. "You're not the only one with footage." It was the real McQueen security video, the unedited version. No shouting, no humiliation, just quiet refusal. Meghan watched it 3 times before whispering, "They're daring me to tell my side." And she did. 2 weeks later, she posted a cryptic teaser, 5 words on a black screen. They edited the truth first. The internet lost its mind. When Unstitched premiered, it broke records. The opening scene? Meghan, alone in a studio, dressed in an ambiguous, neutral gown. "I've been called ambitious," she says. "I've been called manipulative." But no one asks what happens when the story stops being hers. The climax? The real McQueen footage. Reframed, edited, repurposed. She narrates, "They said I begged for entry. Maybe I just refused to wait for permission." It was part confession, part reclamation, part revenge. The fashion world was divided. Supporters called it brave, critics called it manipulative. McQueen's official response? One single sentence. "The House of Alexander McQueen does not participate in fictionalized reinterpretations of factual events." Cold, perfect, final. And yet, despite everything, Meghan won the audience. Millions watched. Her following exploded. Her final post said it all. "They closed the atelier doors. I built my own mirror. A photo followed. Her reflection in a cracked mirror, wearing that same ambiguous gown. Haunting, beautiful, defiant. Because in the end, Meghan didn't need to wear Alexander McQueen. She became the story he would have designed.